this was the first war in which Bofors was employed en masse. So at one end of the spectrum was the infantry, the real ruggedness of an Indian soldier. At the other end was technology in the form of Bofors. Everyone on the roadside, when we were coming to Srinagar or from Srinagar down to Punjab, Firozpur, everyone wanted to touch the Bofors just the way one touches the steps of in a mandir, visiting a religious place. The local people of that area, the schoolmaster, everyone contributed. They were ferrying loads for us. Why? Because there were no porters. They were willingly working as porters for the army. The effect of Bofors is concerned that correctly applied, the Bofors fire can be, you can virtually paint with fire when Bofors is firing. I am Colonel Abhay Gupta, a gunner officer who commanded 307 Medium Regiment during the entire operation. When we were de-inducting, the first element to get de-inducted, everyone wanted to touch the Bofors. They had heard about Bofors so much. Everyone on the roadside, when we were coming to Srinagar or from Srinagar down to Punjab, Firozpur, everyone wanted to touch the Bofors just the way one touches the steps of in a mandir, visiting a religious place, and you bow down. That was the kind of reverence that I experienced people having towards Bofors. That is for that Kargil was different. So we got mobilization orders on 9th of May. On 10th of May morning, we rolled. We reached Sonmarg. Next day on 11th, we moved up from Sonmarg to Zojila. It was a frightening sight. Our soldiers were walking in that slush, guiding the drivers by walking on the edges of the road, which would give because you will understand that when there is a towing vehicle and there is a gun in tow, this radius that the gun cuts is different from that of the vehicle wheels. There were all the chances that a gun could slip down. So our soldiers, they were so well trained, they could anticipate trouble so well. They knew when to unhook the gun, they knew when to hook it up, walk up with the gun in front of the gun, and it was basically the expertise of our drivers and the gunners which put us through across Zojila in an absolutely safe manner. Yeah, the first interesting thing that happened was when we arrived at Dras Transit Camp. So Dras Transit Camp, we reached by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We had late lunch there. Thereafter, the guns, the entire columns, they were lined up in the convoy ground. Consider that a field as open as a football ground. And the guns were lined up there, our entire convoy. And we had retired to the transit camp. That is where I had some interaction with the deputy commander, who made some very vague references. And based on those vague references made, I had kind of an intuition, and I told my adjutant Major Dhaiya that please go disperse all the guns. They should not remain lined up as in a peace station. It is next day that we learned that the enemy was sitting right on top of these hills, which were overlooking Dras Transit Camp. Had the guns been there, I have my fear they would not have been able to hold on to their fire discipline. They would have opened up on 11th May itself, and our guns would have been sitting duck, destroyed right even before they entered the war zone. The second episode that I would like to recall is on the same night, 11th, 12th, we were to march from Dras on to Kargil. Then on this particular stretch, there is a place called Kharbu. That is also known as zero point, because thereafter, for 12 kilometers stretch of the road, it is all under enemy observation. So this particular stretch had to be traversed at night without headlights, with the gunners walking in front with white patches on their chest and back as markers for the driver to keep his orientation. That is the difficulty. And remember, it's all mountains. Once we reached Khargu, we found enemy was celebrating Diwali with his artillery at that particular place. The higher ups, they were insisting that don't worry, this is a routine matter out here. Come through. And the reason was because just 2 days before, the Kargil ammunition dump had been blown up. Finally, I asked the deputy commander of our RT brigade, "Sir, will Kargil fall if we do not reach there by tomorrow morning?" He said no. I said, "Thank you, sir. My decision was taken." And at an appropriate time, I informed headquarters, "Sir, time now is 3 o'clock. Intensity of firing is continuing. It has not abated. Even if we start now, we will get daylighted and get butchered on this particular stretch. So I am returning to Drash." So rather than getting a decision from the higher ups, I informed my decision. I stuck my neck out in the interest of my regiment. And that proved providential. Next day, enemy was detected in Drash. I was there with my guns in Drash. Suddenly on 14th, I heard a but none of these enemy fire was effective. It was going all over the place. However, I heard there was a very typical crackling sound that happened. Due to burst, I said something has hit us. I stepped out of the FDC. I saw there was commotion on one of the guns. So I ran towards that, and I found 3 soldiers had been injured. And people were, as I was walking towards, I could hear people scream, "Gola phat gaya, gola phat gaya." So not knowing, I walked. Having reached there, I realized that there was a shell which burst just outside while firing, just outside the muzzle. In technical terms, we call it muzzle premature. And this bursting had injured 3 soldiers, 3 gunners of that particular gun. On the adjacent gun, right in front, there was another soldier who was resting along his back with his back towards a bolt. I looked more closely, and this time, since I was coming from an opposite direction, I found the back of his skull had been chopped or sliced away by a shrapnel, ear to ear, and his front face was absolutely intact. And what hit me the hardest was there was a smile on this soldier's face, the smile possibly that he would be having when he was hit by a shrapnel of this adjacent gun. He did not have the time even for that smile to be replaced by pain. That was a very, very touching moment for me. Evening, unknown to me, there was an ordnance column that came and did inspection of the ammunition. And what they did, I did not know till next morning. Next morning, we had to fire a fire plan. That means it was a preparation for an attack. And just as my adjutant in the FDC, Major Thaiya, he asked for confirmed readiness on the fire plan serial from this particular fire unit. This GPO, he reports ammunition expended. I mean, in an operational situation of that magnitude, where you are firing a fire plan and the person, he says, ammunition expended, unacceptable. So I quickly checked what was his ammunition state the previous evening. It was all okay. When I spoke to the GPO, he says, "Saab, kal ordnance wale aaye the, wo ammunition को unserviceable declare कर गए." So I decided to take it on myself. I told the GPO, "साहब, आप गन ले करवाइए आप लोड करवाइए, फायर मैं करूँगा। He couldn't believe his ears. Anyway, he went ahead. कहता चलो इतनी बात तो मान लेते हैं, दूसरा यूनिट का सीओ साहब है, बोल रहा है. Then he came at the level of a little camaraderie, suggesting to me some safety measures I should take. कि साहब लैनियार्ड से फायर करना. मैंने कहा डोंट वरी, आई विल फायर सिटिंग ऑन द गन. बाकी सब लोग जो हैं आप बोल्डर्स के पीछे छुपाव में आ जाए. द गन वॉज लेट रेडी. आई फायर्ड one round. I asked for reload, relay, second round. After firing a third round, I got up and asked the GPO, साहब अभी ammunition की serviceability पे कोई शक? He says नहीं साहब. I told him carry on with the fire plan, and he carried the day on repeat. Today I think, looking back, 24 years of consolidation, living those moments, I think it is the most appropriate gift that the regiment has given itself the name Ebenezer.